Hello? We have a lot of respirators, ventilators, we have tremendous amounts of equipment, but compared to what we're talking about here, this has never been done before. And yesterday I gave the governors the right to go order directly if they want, if they feel they can do it faster than going through the federal government. Now we've knocked out all of the bureaucracy. It's very direct, but it's still always faster to order directly. And I gave them, that was totally misinterpreted by the New York Times on purpose, unfortunately. But but it's very important. Yes, yeah, of course. A president directing us to work
Welcome to Zoom. Enter your meeting ID followed by pound. Enter your participant ID followed by pound. Otherwise, just press pound to continue. You are in the meeting now. There are 3 participants in the meeting. This meeting is being recorded.
It's awful. So you can't hear it, and this is awful. So
Having high
we're recording. Okay, so I can't hear the computer. So I logged on. Let me test my system. Well, this is odd. Just logged off and left. Didn't want me on it, but everybody's muted now. Might as well just leave this meeting. Because
I was told that this starts at 12. And I'm in the central time zone.
Me too.
But then I thought I saw that it started at 11. So I don't know what's going on.
Me too. Look at that thing again.
I'm going to log off until 12.
Right, me too.
Hi, how are you all doing?
Me too.
All right, I'll meet with you at 12.
Done. What's wrong here? Yesterday, but then this other one says 11. I'm wrong here. So then we'll go that way. Is it?
Instances, I guess.
So, training. Want to get to the rapid courses. Say for some rapid There you go. Don't know. I don't know. So,
Hi, this is Meg.
hey, That's awesome. Hey, I have a couple of things. First of all, I'm sitting here on my phone and I'm looking at a couple of things from NICPAD
Okay.
for the tribes. Is Montana doing anything with this opportunity?
Ooh, I haven't seen it.
You're a friend of mine on Facebook, so I'll try to message you.
Oh, you know what? I never am on Facebook. I set that up.
Right, I get it, but I gotta figure out how to get it because I got it from America Walks
Okay.
on Facebook.
Okay.
So if you can go look, because it's actually from NICPAD, but they're partnering with America Walks to do something with the tribes.
Okay. Great.
So if we can
That would be
help
awesome.
in any way,
All right.
I'm just trying to fill my hours and days during this whole.
Right. That would be super fun to try and put together. Do you have contacts with the tribal communities?
I do in some.
Okay, perfect.
I don't in all, but I can definitely. I'd love to help.
Great. All right. I'm just about to get on a call, so I can look for that information and then call you back. Are you going to be on your cell phone?
I'm actually still at work right now because we're just sitting here.
So I'll call your work number or email you. Sometimes I can talk.
Okay, awesome.
Officially on spring break, but I am trying to get some things out.
And I know you guys are on spring break and on different things too. And you're also dealing with the schools and your kids once they get back in because you've got cases, but we're close to where you are, but we haven't really like shut the sills down.
What are you seeing in your area related to the virus? Are there issues you guys are handling as a cell?
Not really, but we will be. Tom has stopped all walk-ins. He is having us mail in our timesheets, and the only people that can come into the office right now are us, and even that's pretty limited if we're not sick or not feeling.
How are people managing it who do self-direct?
I'll talk to Dee. Most of everything's being done by phone. They got administration
is being done by phone.
Administrative things by phone, and I'm talking with waiver folks by phone. I cannot go into any assisted livings or nursing homes or any consumer houses at the moment. So that's how we're handling it, but we are still here to answer questions.
So how are PCAs operating?
As normal, as long as they're not sick. We sent them out a letter on Friday, giving them the COVID-19 instructions. If someone's PCA is sick, they're supposed to work with their backup.
Okay.
So that's what we're doing around here.
People usually have.
I have one. I don't know how many because it depends on the person's needs, but I have one.
Okay, great.
Okay, talk to you after you're done with your call.
Okay,
bye.
Good. Thanks. Bye, Shyla.
Bye. Yes, I'm still here. I think I hadn't left yesterday. But if you happen to see Craig, it's Fraser. It's floating around that he can apply for anybody whose industry is really affected by the coronavirus. He can apply for unemployment.
Oh, I will tell him that. Yeah, too bad. He left, he was here for 2 days, but all he did, he slept for 2 days.
Right,
I was worried about him. I thought he was really sick.
right. But if
He
you,
said,
because
I will.
I'm gonna try to text him, but it came up
Okay.
on Facebook, and not that Facebook is the greatest thing sometimes, but
Yeah.
people are getting messages out that way that that you, if your industry is affected, you can apply for unemployment.
Oh, yeah, 'cause it's true. Yeah, 'cause he needs it.
I know he does, and all of them probably do. I mean, I felt bad canceling mine, but and for a while for him, his weekend wasn't canceled until Monday. Like
Oh, wow.
his art show thing wasn't canceled till Monday.
Yeah.
So-
Oh, and I'll tell you that all masses are canceled
Right.
until March.
I saw the bishop's order.
Yes.
I did. I let mom and dad know.
Good.
'Cause
Yeah.
I know they try to go, but even the AMC is closed.
Oh, yeah.
Movie theater, all AMCs are closed throughout the country.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
well, hopefully this does it, because
yeah.
I don't know. I think, not that I'm glad we're closing, but I don't know if we're doing it too early or just right, or we're gonna reopen and then we're gonna have a bunch of
Mhm.
virus stuff,
Well, that's what they did in Korea, is what they're doing now.
Oh, I'm glad they're doing it. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong. I'm just thinking,
Yeah.
well, if the law is over and then everybody reopens, and then
Uh-huh.
what if we don't get a super swell now, but get a super swell later
Yeah.
after it reopens?
Yeah,
Because
don't worry about it, Shyla. Okay.
I know it's okay. It's just, well, right now for transit, that's what's killing me is transit's out. They're out for 2 weeks. And right now, and that I don't I've canceled everything because that's non-important, And I had to take blacked out this morning. And that's what I'm saying, we'll open up and then all the virus really will hit, and then we'll all get it. I'm not super worried if they were just gonna close everything down. Why not just close everything down, and do like Korea and Italy? But then what's gonna happen is bunches of people are gonna run and nothing's gonna happen during this time, and then we're gonna get a bunch of cases when we really were running. Because the only thing that's running now is for the doctor, for transit. So people can get to dialysis and their doctor. But it's everything else. That's what I'm saying. Right. And so yeah, they don't. So now I had to take blackout this morning. I don't know. I don't know how long I can afford it. Tom will reimburse me. He already said that. He said if we need help during this time, he will reimburse. But that van the van for blackout cost $20 a ride. I tried it on Tuesday. Yeah, I know. Yeah, we do. But I know. I am working on it. But and Tom said that would be okay, but he said ask your dad or Joel. now that they got that job Joel got that job at Walmart. Yeah, they're still working on it. He'll go get coronavirus first. I know. I mean, and then I tried not to. I mean, I'm glad Dad got some extra. Right. Right. And that's dumb. Well, he finally got if it's the guy on Facebook, they finally told him to donate it. And he did. He finally they said if you're yeah. And that but it's done. It's to me what's gonna happen is we're gonna have all this law in Montana, and then we're gonna start up again, and then it's gonna hit because people are still traveling. They haven't shut down like domestic carriers. I have two friends that are in Mexico right now. Two two I know, I'm just saying, what are you doing? You can bring it, and I don't care if it's not in an affected area right now. It will be. It will be soon. But I'm just saying, I mean, I don't mind that people, but they're not shutting down the restaurants, they're not shutting down the bars, they're not. But I mean, if you're going to shut everything down, do it. And that way you won't have it. This 2 weeks, 2 weeks. I mean, I get masses are shut down. I get big. I get like big gatherings, like masses shut down. We haven't gone. I haven't gone to mass for 2 weeks since I went to since because, but they didn't shut down those basketball tournaments. They didn't shut them down till the very end of them. And we went down the first week. Granted, they lost out. We didn't go out down the second one, but here we were down in Billings. They didn't even have sanitizers. They ran out of soap. They ran out of toilet paper. They ran out of everything. And the reason I don't want like my dad doing it is because my mom got a cold. Like Tom said, my dad could come and pick me up and stuff. He already said that with the van. He said get Joel or your dad, but honestly, it's like this. If somebody could take me in the morning, then I could get home by blackout in the afternoon. You know. Well, right now Joel is still hired as my driver, and Dad took over for the week. The 2 times that he had to drive. Right now Joel's my driver, so still, but I didn't take him off because honestly, here's the deal. I'm trying to get out of here. I got that job at job service came up. Here's like, yeah. I'm sitting here. Fine. Which apartment was that? Oh, I know the one you're talking about. Buchanan. She can do, she, you know, she can do hardship, though. She's done hardship before. She doesn't like to do it. She does not like to do it, but she can do. Right. 30% of her income. It's still, and that's what the income is 0. So the lowest rent is $25. That's what I'm saying. Right. But she can do it. She can do it. Oh, she can do it. So I'll give a call to Hannah. I've been calling Hannah anyway because that's all I can do. I know it is. That's why, and now I can't, and now unless I make an appointment, I can't bring anybody into the office. Like I can't go out. I can't. So call me, have Melanie and you call me on the phone. Because this is crazy. Because I can work with her. Right. Yeah. No, but at least she's over there now. I don't know who's doing the other one anymore. Then. Yeah, welcome to my world. And I hate it. And I hate it because I end up doing all the running for people that can't do it. And it's like, this is ridiculous. Right? Okay, thanks. And I'll intercom you. Okay. Thanks. Yeah, one time she got all the way. No, Dow. I did that, and then you end up doing that appointment.
Somebody not on mute, but talking a lot. Hello?
Well, honestly, I do the same thing because the people can't have a point. They don't have a computer. It's like, oh man. Mm-hmm. Well, why didn't say something? Well, social services have changed a lot. It is. And I'm never over. Mom. Where's Mom?
Mom is on a webinar, leave her alone. Mom's on a webinar, leave her alone.
What, Liam?
Oh, isn't yours something?
Yeah, now I know.
Okay. Oh. Yeah, it does, for sure.
Puts textbook
sure it
on the
does.
room.
For sure it does. It's like, well, if during did they let you in? Because we got a message last night saying all work is now to be done by phone. So yes. Yeah. I wished because I was probably down at the courthouse struggling, messing my wheels because I went down to get the social security paper for somebody the last day. The last thing I did was went down to went down to get somebody's pay thing, and then I got stuck in the snow with all the ruts with the cars. It was no fun. Oh, the accommodation form. The accommodation form. Yeah, and next time just call me. Just call me. Because basically, because they don't want people who have fake comfort animals without disabilities in there. Yeah. So next time all this stuff happens, Sharon can run more than I can, but bring it to Sharon. She can still take it because she's got a car. Okay? Right? It's not. Well, yeah. She doesn't keep it very long. She does. She has her brain injury so bad. Right. Right, but I mean, I know I'd be stupid, but what if I talk to Tom and see if she could help me organize? Right. I mean, and she could, I'll talk to Mark and see if we could, yeah, because he can do some, right, right. She knows it, yeah. Service master, yeah. We gotta come up with something. But I gotta go because I got another call. But if you Craig before I can text him, let him know and just say, hey, but Shyla saw it and I have to text him too because we haven't talked for a while because I've I've been gone for I know, and that's why I don't. That's why I don't. But I just, I can't. But I don't want her in the house either. That I don't want her anywhere near any of us. If it were just Craig and Melanie, and even Craig and his last girlfriend after Melanie, he would be fine. But I'm not bringing Selena into that, and I feel like I made my, well, I feel like if I do, I'm betraying the last real rough thing my mom said. She said that she cried when I did his senior picture that way, and she bawled, and I know you left, we didn't, but she bawled, everybody left, and I won't even talk to him as long as he's connected to her. But I figured this is. Oh, no. Right. And she'll do it. And the last text I sent to him, the last text I did send to him was, if you're little Craig, this early pasta and if you that same up, because he's trying to get you back together. I pray for you all, but you're ruining my heart too, because I spent just as much time with him, and even more than mom and dad did sometimes. And he looks for me. He won't even talk to me. Little kid, he won't talk to me. I don't know what's going on. So I just try to do it. But just let him know. And I'll text him again too.
But I'm gonna do more
Because it is all over that says if your industry is affected, go apply for unemployment. I would assume they have to, because if the industry, but he dropped from hours to 4, dropped from all those extra hours to 4, because there's no anybody. And the last week I did talk to him, he said I lost my keys in the dishwasher a couple weeks ago. He lost his keys in the dishwasher. And he went in with so after that I quit. I just said I was done. But I gotta go call somebody. So talk to you, bye.
Shyla, you're on. Everybody can hear you.
Oh, okay, thanks.
You should mute.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Because I didn't realize I wasn't.
Yeah, I chatted you, but I realized you weren't paying attention to the chat.
Well, thank you.
Hi, everyone. This is Jessica Lehman. I am very sorry. I am facilitating today, and for the first time in my life, I can't get Zoom to start from my computer. I don't know what's wrong. So I'm going to be on the phone. It makes it tricky because it means I can't mute people. So I will get this straightened out as soon as possible. I'm going to ask everybody to mute yourselves if possible. Please hit *6 if you are not talking. And do we have all of our speakers on?
This is Larry. I'm on.
Great.
It's Landria. I'm on.
Hey, Landria.
This is Allegra. I'm on.
Wonderful. And Dana? Uh-oh, I hope Dana didn't have a similar problem. It is definitely possible that we have some technical issues in the Bay Area where everyone is sheltering in place by by law now, and I think everyone is probably at home on the internet. So anyway, let's get started. I know there's a lot of people on the call. Thank you to everyone for joining us. So welcome to the Organizers Forum. This is a monthly call designed to support and expand community organizing in disability communities. And we generally do a different topic every month, a mix of issues and organizing tactics. And in the last couple of years, we have focused a lot on marginalized communities and how are we acting in solidarity with each other, working on immigration issues and racial justice issues and all kinds of things. So today, actually before I get to the topic, let me think what other housekeeping things there are. First, let me say that this is a project of the National Disability Leadership Alliance, and my co-chair is Diane Coleman. Diane, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Diane Coleman. I was not dead yet, and part of the National Disability Leadership Alliance, which is an alliance of 17 national disability groups with grassroots constituencies that are run by people with disabilities ourselves. And we've been sponsoring this for a few years under Jessica's great leadership. And thanks to everybody for being here.
Thank you, Diane.
It's an incredible turnout, by the way. I show 61 people.
Oh, wonderful. I'm glad we have so many people with us. And I believe we can get a recording from this call. We are still trying to figure out our website issues about getting those out there, but we will work on that right away. I also want to point out, we know that a 1 hour call on today's topic or any of these topics is never enough. And so we're also on Facebook as Organizers Forum, just how it looks. So please go on there, like the page, make some comments, let people know what you heard so that we can share what happens on the call today. And then we also have a Yahoo group, Organizers Forum at yahoogroups.com. So please go ahead and join that so you'll get notifications about future calls and follow up on today's call. And I think that covers it. Diane, am I missing any housekeeping?
I can't think of anything, so I think you covered it.
Okay, goodness. I mean, thank goodness Diane is there to make sure I've got all the I's dotted and the T's crossed. So
I think the real point might be I can't think of anything.
Yes. So you probably can tell I feel a little bit scattered today. I think we're all a bit distracted because most, if not all of us, have never lived through a pandemic before. I live in Oakland, California, and I work at Senior and Disability Action, which is in San Francisco. And it's, of course, the senior and disability communities that are the most at risk of getting severe illness from the coronavirus. And there are now 7 Bay Area counties that have been asked to shelter in place. And so people aren't going to work, stores and restaurants are shut down, and people are only supposed to go out for food and medications and urgent medical care. So it's a rough time, and so I just want to I guess partly ask your indulgence in me probably being not quite myself today, and just a reminder for all of us to just be gentle with each other. And I also want to thank people. I feel like in times like these, I've seen everybody really step up and just express support and concern and a willingness to help each other. And I think that's what gets us through. So on that note, I want to introduce today's topic. So it's organizing in the age of the coronavirus. And there's a couple major questions to tackle in this. You know, the first one that came up with the staff that I work with at Senior and Disability Action is we're in the middle of campaigns around affordable housing and transit justice and healthcare. And what do we do when suddenly we can't have meetings and we can't do actions and we can't show up at hearings. We're required to do social distancing. How do we keep organizing? And what kind of organizing do we need to do around the coronavirus to make sure that all of our communities have their needs met? And how do we support each other in this time? I think this is one of those times where, at least for me, community organizing, the idea of what community organizing is really gets broadened and kind of blurs some of those lines between organizing and advocacy and direct service. So I'm delighted we have 4 incredible speakers with us today. And thank you to all of them for being willing to jump in on short notice, given what's happening. I'm going to ask people again to mute your phones with *6 if there's anyone on who is not a speaker. So the 4 people that we have today are Alondria Williams, who is with People's Hub and Beautiful Solutions, Dana Garza from the Disability Justice Culture Club, Allegra Stout from Join with Justice, and Larry Kleinman Larry, I'm sorry, remind me your organization.
It's called the Capaces Leadership Institute in Woodburn, Oregon, but I'm also an advisor to the FIRM network, the Fair Immigration Reform Movement.
Thank you. I can't imagine why I didn't remember all of that. And as our speakers go, I'm going to invite you all to introduce yourselves a little more if you'd like. Please share what gender pronouns you prefer and anything else you want to say about yourself. So each of our speakers I've asked to speak for 6 to 8 minutes, and then we'll have some time for open discussion. I know there's a lot of people on the call with a lot of great ideas and insights that we're looking forward to sharing. You can also share them in the chat on Zoom, or if you're using the captioning, you can do it there as well. So I'm going to invite Allegra to start us off with a little bit of her thoughts and framing on this call today.
Great. Thanks so much. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Great, wonderful. Zoom and my computer have chosen this week to have some challenges, but I'm here by phone and separately by video. Wonderful to see you all. Thank you all so much for being here, and thanks, Jessica, for that introduction. So I'm Allegra Heathstout. I go by she, her, and hers. I'm in Somerville, Massachusetts. As Jessica said, I'm with Join for Justice, the Jewish Organizing Institute and Network, where I run a fellowship program training Jewish young adults in community organizing, including a track focusing on supporting young Jewish organizers with disabilities. And previously, I was an organizer at the Boston Center for Independent Living. And before I say anything else, I really just want to emphasize that I have many questions about what to do right now, just like everyone, and very few answers. But I did want to share some thoughts of framing. First, I wanted to share a story that's sticking with me and really giving me some hope in this time. So a few months ago, I was on a call with Sins Invalid, which some of you may know is a performance project centralizing queer artists and artists of color, focusing on disability and sexuality in the Bay Area. And so I was at this intern meetup, and I was the only, because I was previously an intern there, and I was the only person participating remotely. Everyone else was there in Patty Burns' living room. And G. Gomez, who's actually on this call, was organizing the event. And when I got on, G asked me if I wanted dinner and if I was hungry. And I laughed because I was sitting in my living room in Somerville, Massachusetts. I was across the country. Of course, they were eating together, and I didn't expect to be fed. But they meant it. The organization was prepared to order delivery to my home because food was part of this event, and they really wanted everyone's needs to be met, and that meant everyone. And it gives me a lot of hope that SINS, as a tiny organization, was already able to do that and already thinking that way before this crisis. And I think that that's the kind of ethic and commitment that we have in the disability community at our best, to really caring for everyone and making sure everyone's needs are met. And if we really live into that in this moment, it'll really save lives, and we have a lot to teach other movements through that ethic as well. And along those lines, before getting into anything more specific and practical, I just wanted to share some reflections on the principles of disability justice, the 10 principles put out by Patty Byrne and Sins Invalid. I'm sure many folks are familiar, but I'll also share a link after I speak. So yeah, I think that these principles are really what we need to go back to ground ourselves in this moment for all of our organizing. So just to name a few, one is recognizing wholeness, that we in the disability community know that we all have bodies and a lot of different needs and a lot of different offerings. And that's something to remember right now as we're physically separated and may have to work together in new ways to meet those needs. And similarly, interdependence is one of the principles, and that's something that all of our communities are learning a lot about right now, that we in the disability community have a lot to teach about through our experience of already knowing that we have to rely on each other to meet our needs. And just to lift up two more, intersectionality, we recognize that we're all differently impacted right now, and that, for example, poor disabled people and disabled people of color, among others, are especially hard hit, and that as we're attending to our communities, we need to attend to those different communities and make sure that we're paying particular attention to the well-being of those most directly impacted. And finally, collective access is something that I've been thinking about, especially as we make the switch to a lot of organizing happening online, where some access needs are a lot more easily met, such as physical access is less of a barrier, but others may be more challenging in new ways. So yeah, I just offer that to recognize that we have so much in the disability community where we're used to operating under many constraints that the rest of the world is experiencing for the first time. And even though this is going to be super hard for us too, it's not like we automatically have it figured out. That's why we're on this call. We really have a lot in disability culture and disability organizing to lean back on for our own organizing and to teach others and be real leaders. A leader I work with in Massachusetts in our local disability community, Olivia Richard, has said that disability means making it work. And I think that resourcefulness is going to take us far right now. And I mean, just some of the other ways, and it's maybe obvious, but just as some framing, some of the other ways that I think that we as disability communities are actually particularly prepared for this moment are that we're used to a lot of us being unable to leave our homes either all the time or some of the time, and we're used to things being really unpredictable, and we know how to organize in those circumstances. You know, on this call, we're going to hear like more specific ideas for how to do that, but in our communities, we're used to communicating online, by phone, by letter, by all kinds of creative ways when we can't be together in person because of pain or access barriers or whatever it might be. And I really want to invite all of us as we navigate these hard times to remember those strengths and to remember that that our communities have a lot to fall back on here from what we already know and our organizing successes. Yeah, and in terms of some more practical elements, I think one of the key challenges that I know that I'm thinking about and many in our communities are thinking about is including people who aren't online already or might not have the technology in their homes or might have access barriers or knowledge barriers to using all of our online tools. And I think that we need to carry through our commitment to really bring everyone along, starting with the very local communities. Like I know on my block and in my neighborhood here in Somerville, mutual aid organizing has already started, and there's a lot of encouragement to try to reach out and talk to our neighbors and get contact information. Before here in Massachusetts, we are still allowed to leave our homes, so before we're not allowed to. Potentially, and just looking out for each other in the same way that as communities we already actually have a lot of tools for. And I think that can go along with a lot of individual coaching and partnership to figure out how to access these tools. For example, people connecting by phone to Zoom if they're not able to do that via computer. Jessica, how am I doing on time?
We should probably move on momentarily. This was an amazing introduction.
Great. Yeah, I'll just share one more thought, if that's all right. In another community I'm part of, the Jewish community, something beautiful that I'm seeing is just a ton of cultural and spiritual offerings online. Oh,
I'm so sorry.
I got muted and unmuted. That's all right. I was just saying, I was just saying that in the Jewish community, many people are moving services online really quickly and other spiritual offerings, and I encourage us to do the same in the Jewish community, in the disability community, to to create spaces for us and not worry about it being perfect, but just do what we can to be together. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Allegra. I am finally on Zoom. I'm going to mute everyone because it's a little bit tricky to hear. Oh, well, I thought I was. Okay, I'm having all the technical problems today. I apologize. Thank you for that introduction. I really loved the line about disability means making it work. And I think others have pointed out that the disability community or disability communities more broadly have a lot to share with everyone who's scrambling to figure out how do we do our work right now. So on that note, I would love to turn it over to Alandria Williams from People's Hub, who I should give credit to Shia French, an organizer at Boston Center for Independent Living, who I believe heard Alandria speak a few days ago and said that Alandria would be perfect for this. So thank you so much for joining us, and please go ahead.
Okay, so my name's Alandria Williams. Any Alandria pronouns. So I just want to, so I have a massive asthma respiratory issue. And so my voice goes and comes. And so I may have to do cup bubbles in the middle of this or stop talking. So I just want to say that up front, and all of you should be fine with that. Some people are not, and we're working with them to like get them together. So my name's Alandria Williams. I live in Powell, Tennessee, which is outside of Knoxville, Tennessee, yay for the South. And I am currently the executive director of an organization called People's Hub, which is an online school. And I also am co-editor of a project called Beautiful Solutions. And Beautiful Solutions, you can go online and look, is a project I do with people, Rachel Plattis and Eli Fagali. Rachel, who coordinates a group called Nuns and Nuns Now, and Eli, who is at the New Economies Coalition. And it was created out of we're in the midst of climate crisis, all the things, what are the solutions that we can like actually do to get us to the world we want, right? Not just fighting the thing, but like, what are the values, organizing principles? Like, what does it actually take to create a beautiful society on every sector of the economy? And what are the questions that we need to wrestle with to get there, right? So everything from reparations to just and appropriate technology to what does it literally mean to do community care and community governed solutions. And so we're at a moment where actually the two go together, and probably have forever, right, ancestrally, but have not been, and I think most people in the US, right? And so the thing that I will say about both of them and who I am, is that, you know, I help raise children, the invisible thing. And I feel like we're in a time where the invisible is coming visible, right? Where it's like we have been doing things in the back, doing things on the side, doing things in many ways. And it's now like it's time for that to come visible in all new ways. And where I've really staked, I feel like, a claim is how do our movement spaces shift and transform to be care to be at the center, right? And impact second and deliverable third. And if care is at the center, what does that mean for how we move in the world? And so I've been an organizer for most of my life. My parents are organizers. And I think one thing that I remember I was working at a place and we had a grant report due, and I had 5 seizures in one day. And I had a seizure. I got brought to work. I had a seizure, laid down. They're like, great, let's finish this grant report, right? So like after each seizure, I would like go to bed, wake up and finish the damn report. And then it's like, all righty, Thank you for your time, energy, and the effort as we take you back out. So like my experiences in so many movement spaces have been, we are going to create an accessible space with 13 stairs up and oranges that you're allergic to. And like the scents, the scents. And we're going to do healing justice with the thousands of tinctures and incense and da-da, right? That isn't actually about healing at all, but it's performative, right? And so I feel like, and like we're going to craft and say, we're creating all these things for your immune system. And I'm like, all those things are killing my immune system, right? And so how we shift movement culture, right, to me is massive, right? And so and even disability justice movement culture, like how we say like, actually this is not acceptable anymore. It hasn't been acceptable for a long time. And like your thinking that you can kill me is zero, right? Like done with that, you know, and saying like, I'm not living that way anymore. And I feel like I allowed myself to not feel worthy of care and love for 20 something years, maybe more. And to say like, how do we actually and to feel like because I had all the disabilities, like people were doing me a favor by like allowing me to do work. And I'm like, actually, I'm better. I know how to do this shit. I've been doing this for 25 years, right? Like, actually, it's not a favor. You're blessed that I'm here with you, right? And to like really like reframe like the energy I took to like be in space is so major that to not honor it is to not honor me or anybody else that I love. Because my time with you means it's not time with my family, it's not time with my community, and it's not time with myself. And so like how do we do that in a community crafted way so that we're not hyper individualistic about it, right? But instead are like community about it. And so People's Hub was the opportunity to be like, and I came in not as the ED, right? I came in as like a consultant. We're only 2 years old. A consultant, then a trainer, then a training director, and then now the ED. But really, it's like if we put care at the center of how we do our work, what does that mean for how we craft organization? What does that mean for the fact that we will be taking lots of time off? Like quarterly, we have sabbaticals. What does it mean to like integrate study and disability justice and all things all the way through everything so that it's not just on the side, but it's like integral, right, to every last thing we do? How do we pay people a like better than living wage so that people, because medical bills are high, right? Like I'm gonna assume you're like me and you have I got lots of debt. And just to like have air cleaners, which are not like a prescription, but cost a ton of money. How do we pay people in a way that people can actually afford to take care of themselves and not be stressed out every time you have to pay a bill, right? Like, so it's not just about, do I have kids? It's about like, how do we be in care and love? And then how, when like we're in meetings, now we don't meet but so often because people know my voice doesn't work. Somebody else has like children they have to raise. Somebody else has got like MS. So like, how do we like really hold all of our needs and go, what does that look like? And so we do things online and offline, but we don't meet long. We have like short bursts where we're like, and now we're gonna have a hot tub, and now you're gonna get to eat differently, and now we're gonna do all the things, and to really take it all into account, knowing that all of our disabilities actually sometimes hit on each other, right? And so that I need heat, Linda Stout needs cool, right? So like, how do you account for that? But we're figuring it out. And so to me, the question is like, what are the questions we're asking ourselves around like, do people feel like they can actually bring their whole full selves to the meeting? Do people feel like they can bring their whole full selves to the work? Are we giving people time to do their artistic and spiritual practices? Is that built into the actual time you are at work, right? So if you have a practice that brings you life, that's your job too. If we're going to do study, that's a part of the job too, not some extraneous thing that now you have to find time after work to do, right? And then how do we like change the work hours so that is actually more flexible so that when I can work, I can. When I can, I'm not. And I feel like that's the beauty of what online should do, right? It's like, that's why I went to online school. So it's like, as you're able, we can move. And so the last things I think I'll say is that, so People's Hub is based on a 4R framework around resistance, resiliency, restoration, and reimagination. And those things for me are really important because I feel like, and it's resistance that's rootedness and ancestral in spirit, not fight, right? Because at this point we got to transform and not try to annihilate everybody, right? So like, I come from a really small place. Annihilation does not work. You're annihilating your friend's grandmother, right? So like, really, it's like, how do we transform like our families? How do we transform our communities? How do we transform our people so that we're like all moving in a direction? And so I'll say two more things and I'll shut up around how Beautiful Solutions and People's Hub to me intersect.
So yeah,
Don't.
So want to know.
I'm not sure who that is, but I thought I muted everyone. If anyone who's talking can mute yourself, that would be great.
Oh, it's okay for me to say the last two things?
Please, go ahead.
Oh, okay.
Sorry about the interruption.
Oh, okay. I was like, oh, shut up. Okay. So the two things I feel like around Beautiful Solutions, and people should go on this site. It's about to be redone and figured out. And we're going to actually do a workshop. We're going to do 2 workshops coming up in the next couple of weeks for People's Hub. And Beautiful Solutions and Uns and Duns and a whole bunch of things. So part of the thing with Beautiful Solutions is like, if we are imagining community controlled solutions, right, that are grounded in care, grounded in how we want to live our lives, grounded in community, grounded in like what we actually want to vision out and reimagined, what would that look like on the ground for real, right? So we're going to share like some community health solutions, some like ones around foraging, how people can like actually do regenerative work, some things around disability, justice that people are doing. It's global. So it's actually not US based, it's a global project because people are doing some amazing things, right? And so it's like the thing I want to say is, I was in Italy, which is intense, right? Like what's happening in Italy now, in Emilia Romagna, on a master's program around cooperatives and credit unions. Because I was like, if we're going to do business, how do we do it righteously? So there's a college out of, I did not graduate, I have no degree, but I go to school to like learn things and then I stop because I'm too sick. But there's a school called St. Mary's in Canada that was like, how do we prepare a cadre of organizations that can do this work and people? And so my job was to come and pop ed every single course I took. So like I have like courses and like popular education courses around like, how do you do finance? How do you do board training, right? That people can take and use, and I'm happy to share with anybody if you want. So, I was in Italy, and I was at, my uncle has schizophrenia, and I was at a place, and it was a worker co-op owned by the people who were there. And everybody there was there. They had schizophrenia, they had all kinds of mental disabilities and illnesses, but they owned the whole place with the workers. So the workers and the people who were there owned it. And so like, I'm sorry, I might cry. People were paid, people own their work. So they were like, it was beyond the living wage. People like actually got in circles and was like, how do we want this place organized? What does it mean for me to like have this and to actually be righteous, right? And so it wasn't anything done for people. It was beyond anything we actually have in this country. And I came home, was in Florida to see my uncle with my parents who came with me to Italy because I take them everywhere. And we walked in and literally I had to turn around, fell on the floor with my walker and bawl for 30 minutes. Because I was like, there is nothing in this country that even compares to where the hell I just came from. And I'm like, what does that even mean that we can't even, how you can even envision a thing, right? Sometimes you have to be able to like tangibly like be like, I'm in this place and this is what is possible. And so Beautiful Solutions and People's Hub to me are like, how do we craft openings so that folks can imagine what is possible out of talking to people, listening to people, go, here's what we created, dude, you can create the same thing. And so I feel like we are at a moment for radical imagination. And we are at a place where like we can actually help go, this is what it means to radically imagine a thing that actually meets all of our needs and not just yours. And so we're also doing, and so I'm going to close with, we're doing 2 community clinics for people that are disabled, that are also movement folks, around like, how do we shift our movements? How do we shift like what we need? And like, what are some pledges and demands that we have for people, and how to like do them. And so working with JD and so a ton of other folks to make them happen. So thank you for letting me talk to you. And my voice stayed. It means I really love you and want to do this conversation. And I'm so grateful to be here. I do some disability justice work, but most of my disability justice work is within larger movement spaces. And so it is a blessing and an honor to be among you. And hopefully I can like still stay with you around for the future. Thank you.
Alandria, thank you so much. This is Jessica Lehman again. I really appreciated that. And I feel like you kind of whetted my appetite that now I want to go and learn more about People's Hub and your work and read what you've written. Thank you for that. Couple specific things. I really appreciate your openness, you know, at the beginning and throughout about what you can and can't do and what works and what doesn't. And I think that's just a reminder to us, particularly in moments like these, and to be able to share that beyond disability communities, that we have to be able to do that with each other all the time, ideally, but especially at a time like this. And what was the other thing you said? Oh, and you were talking about respecting everyone's time and really valuing you and recognizing that you're here instead of being other places. And so I just want to express gratitude to you and to the 70 people on the call for taking your time to be here together. So on that note, is Dana Garza from Disability Justice Culture Club on the call? And Dana, I might have muted you. You might have to hit *6 to unmute yourself if you're on your phone. No, maybe Dana has had trouble getting on. So let me just see. Oh, okay. G. Gomez also says, I couldn't find a site for beautiful solutions. So Alandria, if you can put the link in there, if there is one, or we can get that out later. Okay, great. They're nodding. Okay, so I'm going to turn it over to Larry Kleinman, who wrote an amazing article that I sent out. Hopefully people saw that, and I'll give Larry a chance to talk a little bit about that and more. Actually, Larry, before you start, I'm going to mute everyone now that I am on my computer and can do that. Give me one moment. Okay, and you unmuted yourself. Perfect. Go ahead.
Hi, good morning from Oregon. My name is Larry Kleinman. I live in Woodburn, Oregon. A longtime organizer in the immigrant and farm worker community, mostly Latino Mexican. And my pronouns are he, his, él. And I stepped down from leadership as part of Generation Shift about 7 years ago, but I remained an active advisor and now elder, both to my peers who are transitioning in leadership and also to younger leaders. The reason I think Jessica invited me to this call, and I'm privileged to be here, is that I wrote an essay 10 days ago, or circulated 10 days ago, called Organizing in a Time of Approaching Pandemic. And of course, it's no longer approaching, it's here. And it was really a call to look up and take this seriously. Talked about risk, how do we understand it generally? What's your plan of action, for your alternative plan of action for events and activities? What are the must-dos that we must continue to do in this time? The two I called out were voting and the census. And I'll look ahead at what the economic impacts could be and some specific suggestions I had about meeting the moment. I'm going to post, when I'm done here, I'll post a link to it. It's also in Spanish on the PECUN website. PECUN is Oregon's farm worker union, which I was a co-founder of 35 years ago, and is still a vibrant part of this community. Last night, I finished another essay because frankly, events have now completely outstripped what I already wrote. And one of my contributions to the movement is to be one of the folks that looks around the corner or at least tries to do that. I think it's deeply rooted in my culture as a Jew, who we carry with us the accumulation of persecution that causes many of us to try to think ahead, often about what the danger is, but also converting that to what the possibilities are, as Elandria talked about, the reimagination. So I've applied that yet again, as I've done a number of times at moments like this, and I've written a new essay called Moving Through Contagion Fear, Preparing for Recovery. And it'll be up on a couple of sites later today, so I don't have a link for you right now. I did send it to Jess, or I think I sent it to you this morning, Jessica, so you can circulate it to folks if you have an email address for them and if they're interested. The key big ideas quickly are, we have never experienced anything like this as a country, and we should plan for it to last months, not weeks. I think some of us are still in denial about that. So we need to shift our expectations. The social distancing, which we're now experiencing, and which, as Elandria pointed out, folks have experienced before, but not as a mass society, is going to become ingrained, and it's going to be harder to transition out of than we imagine today. I think there'll be a key tipping point for people, and this will be very individual, in which it's what I call lived recovery. That is, even once government officials tell us, okay, it's fine to go back to quote unquote normal. First of all, I think we're going to have a hard time at readapting to some parts of what's normal, which is also an opportunity, as has been said before. But it'll be when people have their own personal sense of an acceptable threat proportionality. And so we should prepare ourselves for that. And lastly, back to the theme of reimagination, our social change movements, speaking broadly, have a unique opportunity to come together, collaborate, retool our tactics. A number of us, or people out there, bemoan that our tactics have become stale, and some of them are completely canceled right now. Marches are not happening. And so we have an opportunity to retool tactics and work together across turf in a collaborative way like never before. So those are the sort of the big ideas. I do some sort of unpacking of how far down and how long the economy will be in bad shape. There's more to say about that, of course, how we cope as individuals, updated ideas about the must-dos that I mentioned earlier. So I guess let me leave it there. It's a longer essay than the first one. It's about 5.5 pages, and I'm going to be translating into Spanish probably later today. So let me leave it there, Jessica, and on the discussion, if there's questions in the chat, I try to address those.
Thank you so much, Larry. Really appreciate the work you've done. So timely. It's good to have that out there so quickly. And Elandria has posted some other links here. We will be sure to collect all the links in the chat window if you can't see right now, if you're not at your computer. And I will send those out on the Yahoo group. So if you are, I think I can also put them on Facebook. So make sure you're connected in one of those ways if you'd like the follow-up information. Okay, so I haven't heard from Dana Garza. Have you been able to join us? I wonder if she's had something come up this morning. All right, well, if she joins us, we will have her speak later. I will actually go ahead and share. So the reason I asked Dana to be on the call is because the Disability Justice Culture Club is a group in the East Bay of disabled people of color, I believe mostly queer and trans disabled people of color, who have come together to support the community in a variety of ways. And they did some incredible mutual aid organizing in the fall when we had wildfires here in California, and we were really affected by massive smoke laying over the region. And to prevent fires, then the utility companies, PG&E, planned these power shutoffs. And so then there were huge concerns about what do people do without electricity to run ventilators or hospital beds or to refrigerate medications. So they set up mutual aid networks. And so the Disability Justice Culture Club has done a similar thing again. They've put out a form for disabled people who need deliveries of food or medication or other supplies, and then another form for allies who can step in and provide resources or help out in a variety of ways. And we are working to expand that. So that's in the East Bay and at Senior and Disability Action. We've reached out to them and are borrowing some of the amazing work they've created to create a mutual aid network through San Francisco and throughout the Bay Area. And there's a lot of different folks stepping up to say, hey, I want to help, or hey, I need help, where do I go for this? And so a lot of it is connecting people. And I just want to say there's some really interesting issues that come up from an organizing point of view about which things do we do ourselves for each other in community, and which are things that we actually need to call on our governments to do. You know, it's great when community can step in for each other, but also, you know, people have said, shouldn't we have systems where these things are taken care of, where it doesn't fall on one individual to figure it out, even though that's possible. But why do we not have systems that actually work for everyone and meet everyone's needs? And personally, I think in times like this, it's a little bit of a balance. It's figuring out what do we do as community, and we probably know best about how to reach out to each other and how to figure out what people need. But how do we also call on government and explain specifically, here's what we need to see from them, and here are some of the things that need to happen from a broader point of view, beyond what we can do in community. So kind of bringing the two together to complement each other to make sure that everyone's needs get met. So I will stop there. And I just saw a question from Elizabeth Moran. I hope I said your name right. It says, for those of us interested in setting up a similar support network with opportunity to ask for support and sign up to be a supporter, can you provide us a link to see what's already been done? Good stuff. Absolutely. Oh, where'd that go? Okay. Thanks, Alandria. You muted yourself. So yes, absolutely. I can go ahead and share the Disability Justice Culture Club links. And then when we have, we should have this other one out by the end of today, I'm hoping. We're in the middle of working on it. And I will send that out as well. All
this
right,
is
so
Alandria. There's an actual mutual aid network that exists, that their job is to do that. So also, and that's what who everybody is taking the information from is humans. It's literally the mutual aid network in the US, and they're connected to mutual aid networks all over the globe. And so I would also reach out to them because they have a platform that you can just put your stuff on and don't have to recreate any wheels. Thank you.
Thank you. That's wonderful. And Allegra had just sent out mutualaidmamas.com, which I love. Alandria, is that not the one you're talking about?
Oh no, they're like way big. They're like, no. It's literally, it's like a global mutual aid network society, and they're the US version. I can put in the chat the email, the website and email.
Wonderful, thank you. And thank you to Allie, it looks like, who just sent out the list of mutual aid networks and resource lists that we have going in the Bay Area right now. All right, so we have 12 minutes. I'm gonna open it up to questions because we have a lot of people on the call. If you can, I'm gonna ask you to use the Zoom to raise your hand. There should be a little button next to your name that says raise hand, or let me know in the chat window if you have a question or a comment. And if you can't do that, then please unmute yourself with *6 and tell me your name so I can have a queue of people who want to speak. Do we not have comments and questions? I'm either missing them or I'm just in shock. And if you don't have questions for the speakers, it would also be wonderful to hear from people who have been organizing in your own communities. What are you doing right now? How are you changing the type of organizing you do? Are you organizing specifically around resources during this crisis? I
Trying
see
to raise
Helen,
my,
and then I see
yes.
G. Gomez. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Helen.
I think I'm unmuted, not too sure. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
I'm in the Berkeley area, and what I've been doing in organizing with information, I've been using where I set myself to volunteer, like the Berkeley Community Media Center. I've been utilizing to be able to get information out on other PEG media stations. I'm a media person. In terms of the coronavirus, making sure the information is helpful, simple to understand, and readily available for people. I think we're going to be doing a actual interview, sort of a talk thing on the station to help people to come up with different ideas so that while they're safe, self-isolating, they can do things. And at the station itself, I'm the person who does the accessibility stuff and inclusion areas to help out with it being more open and available to people to participate in any which way we can. So right now I'm sort of figuring out how to use technology to best bring in a diverse community perspective in terms of what's available locally, how you can find help, and what we can do, speaking coronavirus.
Great, thank you, Helen.
That's just a bit, yeah.
Great. And G. Gomez was next. I can unmute. Oh, you got it.
Hi, folks. My name is G, and I use he, him pronouns. One of the main ways my organizing has shifted right now has included more social distancing than I realized I was going to have to participate in. I'm just like being really affected by my own internalized ableism right now, and having to really step back and try to realign myself with this reality of needing to keep folks safe. And so where I was physically providing labor and support, like physically for folks, I'm having to switch that, of course, to online participation. I've really shifted since, also on top of that physical shift, my work has been canceled for the foreseeable future. And so pretty much all of my available resources right now are going to support different community events or support systems like the Disability Justice Culture Club, which is how I heard about this meeting, to be able to plug in. And so really figuring out different ways. Alondria, I was so happy to see your work here, and I'm really curious about how I can learn more, but also understanding that we don't have to reinvent the wheel, so to speak. And thank you all for sharing your knowledge and being leaders in this movement of support. And I just want folks to know I included my email address on the chat, that I'm available for administrative support and organizing support virtually now. So thanks.
Thank you so much, G. Before we go on to the next question, I'm realizing there's a lot of things that I've been talking to folks about and working on, and obviously other people on here are working on a whole bunch of things, and I would love to use follow-up from this call to kind of bring folks together. So I want to remind people in the link that hopefully you got, or the email that hopefully you got about this call, there's a place to RSVP where you can put your email. So please, 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 if you haven't done that, do that. And then I'm wondering, gee, it sounded like you might be offering to help, or if somebody else would be willing to help compile those emails, and we can send a list out to this group about kind of who's doing what and who's willing to do what. So if folks are on the chat on Zoom, please just put in there if you're willing to help with some of that kind of admin work of just typing some of those emails and connecting people. And then I saw someone here posted about personal care attendants, and that's another conversation that that we've been having a lot of. It could be a whole nother call about what are best practices for those of us who hire attendants or caregivers. How do we reduce the risk of infection to ourselves and to them, or for people who may be asymptomatic but carrying coronavirus, to not pass it to other people who could be at high risk. And so really thinking through all of that, what does that look like? And so if anyone, we're talking about kind of putting together some best practices and getting it out there and finding people who can help fill in or self-isolate with people. If anyone's interested in working on that, please let me know. We need to get that going today and tomorrow. And I'm sure there's a whole bunch of other things in the works through this crisis, and I look forward to working with you all. Okay, so we have a few more minutes for questions. I think I saw a hand from Tyler Frank, is that right? No, that was wrong. Okay, maybe Tyler was just stretching.
I don't know how
Allie,
to raise my hand.
Go ahead.
A couple things I want to share from some of the organizing networks I'm in. Well, I guess before I say that, I just want to say thanks everyone who shared and who's here and present and participating. I think that crisis has a way of revealing what the world is and what the world can be. And I think these solidarity and mutual aid efforts are exactly what we need, thanks to the speakers and the organizers. A couple things coming up in the sort of networks that I'm in. One of which I think is a little bit of confusion. Some of us have done mutual aid work after the fires, with the power shutoffs, and the sort of aspect of contagion, I feel like has really shifted some of the terrain. The question of who's affected and who's unaffected becomes much more blurred and confusing. But a couple things that are coming up, one of which is there was all those like mutual aid directories that people made. And one of the projects we're undertaking, and if folks want to plug in, please let me know, is trying to sort through the needs that have been asked for and the offers that have been asked for. And so we're trying to organize those lists between the needs and offers, and then do work to communicate to link people up. And this is in the Bay Area. Another one of the things some of my networks have been focusing on is really like neighborhood-based stuff, because it's so big and so broad scale that it can be really hard to figure out where to plug in. I'm currently in the process of making a bilingual English and Spanish little handout to just go drop off at my neighbors' houses that asks people if they have any particular needs, and also asks people if they have capacity to help support, but just to start small and start local as a sort of way to ground and be present in your neighborhood. The last two things I'll put out there, one of which is some of us, I have a recipe, if anyone wants it, from the World Health Organization for making hand sanitizer. And so some of us pooled together money to make 10 gallons of hand sanitizer and bought chemicals from this company that produces chemicals for labs. So we bought a bunch of small plastic spray bottles and chemicals to make hand sanitizer. So we're going to start distributing that. The last thing to throw out there is Station 40, which is a long-term anarchist house in San Francisco, has declared a rent strike. And they're currently working to promote their rent strike and encourage other people who feel comfortable doing that to follow that path as a way to say that this is a moment of crisis, and we refuse to give our money to corporate landlords in a moment when work's being canceled and the people's forms of support are so stretched thin, and they're really trying to move and strike sort of a tactical pandemic. I know that was a lot, but just wanted to kind of put that out there for different things to consider as we move through this together.
Thank you so much, Ali. So I have to wrap us up, sadly. I really wish we had more time. First, a huge thank you to Alandria, Larry, and Allegra for speaking, and for Shia for helping put this call together today. I'm probably missing someone who helped. Thank you to all who gave lots of advice and suggestions on Facebook when I first started saying, hey, can we do this? And thank you to our captioner and to NDLA for supporting the captioning. So I'm going to take, is that Richard, our Feynman, up on the offer to help collect our emails and get a list out there to make sure that people are connected to other people who are doing similar work around the coronavirus crisis. So please, again, make sure we have your email. If you don't know how to do it, send me an email directly at either the email that you have in the announcement, or to Jessica, Jessica, at sdaction.org. S as in senior, D as in disability, action.org. And please stay connected, stay safe and healthy, take care of each other, and talk to you all very soon. Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you.